Quit It: Exploring the Overall Happiness of Facebook's Users. Social media is both a blessing and a curse, Facebook in particular, because of the never-ending web of information that has both the potential to be exciting or uninteresting, depending on what you come across. Social media is definitely guilty of bringing about feelings of envy and inferiority with the people who use it. Even if the post is supposed to be uplifting, just people have a natural tendency to compare themselves with what they encounter online and start to compete with each other in terms of followers and friends, which isn't really healthy and doesn't bring happiness to people who check social media, even though Facebook can be so addicting that we find ourselves on it a lot of the day. So we're going to take a look at why quitting social media, or maybe just Facebook in particular, altogether is going to be the best solution to bring about more happiness and life satisfaction in the lives of every user of social media. Morton Tromholt performed a study in 2015 that discovered an exact link between quitting Facebook and higher levels of well-being. He used the independent variables intensity of Facebook use, Facebook envy, and passivity of Facebook users, while the dependent variables were life satisfaction and emotions. So he mentions how Facebook presents users with loads of social information that invites social comparison, and that the participants who took a 1-week break from Facebook reported significantly higher levels of life satisfaction, and how their emotional life was significantly improved as well, and that these findings were highest among the heaviest of Facebook users. So even though Facebook has helped connect people in ways that were never possible before, people have become obsessed with maintaining their image and base their success on how people view their content online. Taking a break from Facebook, like the subjects in Tromholt's study did, immediately eliminates any online envy, because people won't spend time out of their days comparing themselves to the content they see online. Shirley Duglin Kennedy posted 2 important articles in Information Today mentioning the kinds of pictures that we see online on Facebook and how they're, quote, whitewashed versions of reality. But for those who don't have the capability to tear their eyes away, the negative thoughts start to creep in, the feeling that their lives will never be as glorious as their friends' lives appear to be online. And checking Facebook can easily make people feel like their personal achievements are not up to par with how everyone else is doing. And she goes on to mention how mental illnesses can develop due to thinking like this, but how Facebook is so difficult to avoid because of its constant pull to bring people back, because there's always new information. I'm sure we're all familiar with FOMO, the fear of missing out, which was a term coined to capture. She also mentions the on-call effect, which is how you get so used to responding to things in social media that it actually impairs your sleep, much like how doctors are so worried about their pager going off. And this is easily grounds to make anybody unhappy. Her other article is entitled Ignorance is Bliss, and it's her talking about how people have started to actually shun any information that's coming in as a sort of psychological defense mechanism, because they can't handle the information overload. And this can also sort of bring about media bias, because people are not concerned with the other side of the story. So they see some brand X website has a strongly worded title, and they just share it without going to a reliable source and making sure that's the truth. And that's how fake news gets spread about. And this just doesn't do anything positive for people who are checking their news feeds daily looking for something exciting and informational. Seth Stevens Davidowitz brings up an important point that people are a lot more honest with Google than Facebook, and that we shouldn't get discouraged by what we come across on Facebook, because those are like the highlights of a person's life, and that they're not going to be completely honest with what's on Facebook because of how it's viewed by their followers. People are more likely to reveal details about themselves to Google without even realizing it, because no one is viewing their responses. Kathleen Tchaikovsky wrote an article in Forbes about the reaction buttons that Facebook released last year, because people had been complaining about how they can never properly convey empathy for a person because it seemed improper to give a post a like when it was about something sad. This begs the question, though, is this bringing more negative content to Facebook because now it's encouraging people to react in the right ways? Because it also brought about a spike in reactions once this was released for Facebook. One could also argue that there's a generational divide, that adolescents are less likely to post about things that make them sad because they want to appear to their friends as if they have it all together and that their lives are perfect. Katie Steinmetz wrote an article in Time magazine in 2012 that sort of predicted the future about the 2016 presidential election, as people are sort of arguing and ranting online with strangers, when in the past we used to avoid talking about politics because it would bring about arguments and offend people. And so the fact that we're bringing this online just makes it worse because now people can hide behind their screen and avoid confrontation. And now with all the global connectivity, they can argue with people they've never met before. And this just brings about a lot of news circulating around that could or could not be true. Steinmetz goes on to talk about how a lot of people were posting Facebook rants that wouldn't have normally done so during the last election, and how a lot of long-distance relationships were sort of threatened because of all the spam. And some friendships that would have otherwise been okay were now in jeopardy because people were forced to unfriend those people that they haven't seen in a while, even when they may not have wanted to, just because the content that they were being spammed with was content they didn't agree with, and they were forced to see it every day. And it led to a lot of unhappiness in people and a lot of friendships that could have survived that just couldn't anymore. All in all, because of how Facebook brings about more negative emotions than positive ones, we all should just take a detox, whether it be for a short amount of time or indefinitely. But because of the social comparison and the different habits that people have that can get on our nerves, the day-to-day information that we're spammed with online is not information that is helping us in any way. It brings nothing to the table. So we're better off without it, and our life satisfaction will increase, as has been proven earlier. And we're going to start to feel a lot better about ourselves and maybe prevent a lot of mental illnesses that have been plaguing teens nowadays. So if this movement catches on, we'll see what's in store for our society.